Let's start with prophecy and the complete spoiler for the main character, shall we? Everybody knows the guy is the chosen one and can't lose. What is the point of reading even one page further? Main character is an unbeatable active prophet. How am I supposed to take those clowns who are against him seriously? By the way, all the living humans and their mothers can become prophets here, as long as they inhale enough worm shit. What? How are they fighting each other after knowing the outcome beforehand? First page introduces roughly 20 completely unintelligible and unrecognizable terms. To be fair, those can be inferred rather quickly, not further than 3-4 chapters in, but just why? I'll almost threw out the book right then and there. This is such a trash introduction, I can't even think of any other series that does the same. Most likely, it almost doesn't exist. For absurdly good reasons. Introduction 1 out of 10, truly. World building. Warp sheet of one planet fueled an empire spanning thousands of them. How did they travel before reaching Arrakis? Were there some other fuel-shitting worms, but they went extinct? Does this universe just rely on shit for interstellar travel? And how in the name of all that is logical can one guild simply control the most important thing in interstellar age? Galactic travel. No rebels, nobody building spaceships on the sly, no robbery. We all are just docile little sheep under a monopoly. Alright, you can have that view. It theoretically can happen. Just the odds are so minuscule it's completely unbelievable. The explanation is that worm-shit fueled flight is infinitely more efficient. Takes an instant, instead of conventional light-speed travel. It's a dogshit explanation, period. Why would a guy high on worm shit be capable of moving massive steel behemoths across the galaxy? With the power of what? Being ultra high baked as a kite and heightened senses? Nonsense. Also, sword fights in space, yeah. At least Jedi do it with cool, conceptually overpowered swords. And they use quasi-magic. Fine, not impossible to go toe-to-toe with technology. But normal swords? No sixth sense instincts, no eye from magic. Normal people fighting with swords in the interstellar age. Nope, Herbert, you are a moron. So, world building also scores 1 out of 10, I'm sorry for the fans of Dune. Why are people so randomly rude and murderous to a duke's family, a planetary governor's family? Why does everyone but the Harkonnens know the then prophecy and that main character is the executor of it? This constant, chapter after chapter, disrespect, blatant disrespect and contempt for members of the planetary governor's family is crazy. Absolutely crazy. The Atreides house might as well be dogs and slaves, judging from how random nobodies interact with them. A scale of 300 people constitutes a vanguard capable of taking down and entrench for 80 years enemy forces. Are we joking in here? Is this scale planetary or village-like? The planetary governor has to double as direct field commander of a mere little company. And the Duke is supposedly related to the interstellar emperor of thousands of worlds. What exactly are we doing here? Just put the setting in some backwards Middle Eastern village in the 13th century or something, with this scale and importance of swords. Wait a second, brother. We are running our empire on worm shit. But now we want to create an artificial scarcity, potential complete wipeout of worm shit production. In order to what? Earn a couple of shekels? I am Padishah Emperor, and I support an action that has a great possibility of ending my empire. What a joke. By the way, with an army of mentats, supercomputers in human form. Great high IQ plans we make, guys, boyos, colleagues. That's why we don't kill our mortal enemies and let them run away or counterattack by bringing them to an arm's reach. We smart, we intelligent, we superior, we high on worm shit. Why would a supposed intellectual, brainwashed to impossible levels of conditioning, break the above stated impossible to break conditioning? because of an empty promise of a person known for their treachery. How is it possible that Harkonnen even attempted to recruit an impossibly loyal doctor? Is it prophecy deus ex machina? Why the side of Chosen One didn't counter-prophesize it? Can you feel the ridiculousness yet? Whom the freemen are all swordmasters. Who do they fight? A kilometer-long worms? Themselves? How can they train with increased sweat and overall exertion while not drinking water? How are any of them left alive if they fight each other to the point of universe-level proficiency in killing? Guess the ever-present worm shit makes them ultra-high Hashinshin fanatics. Freemen are the superb warriors, until they aren't. The woman who pants, wheezes and wails of pain, after walking for half an hour, subdues their chief warrior with one hand. Does Herbert expect you to forget what he wrote a page before? This book insults my intelligence. The particular moment, it is revealed that every single Freeman hideout has a lake of water hidden. Water that cannot be touched even if all the people inside the hideout die of thirst. What in the name of all 2 of Herbert's brain cells does it make 100 pages where he talked about how little and how difficult it is to procure water? There are lakes of it, all over the place. What are you doing constantly contradicting literal hundreds of pages of setup? Is this madness? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I am losing it while reading. I have to get up and walk a couple rounds around the room to cool off. Herbert takes his readers for a bunch of moron goldfish. 100 pages thrown out the window. Why was I reading about water shortages again? There are massive lakes of water under every other sand dune. Astonishing waste of time the whole setup of the story turned out to be. Maybe even 200 pages, all for nothing. Structure of writing, dialogue, unnecessarily flowery description of someone's looks, dialogue. Is this for humans to read? The writing is simply pretentious to the core, overcomplicated, over-engineered phrases and platitudes on all pages. An example sentence, open quote. But the young body carried a sense of command, a poised assurance, as though he saw and knew things around him that were not visible to others. End quote. What, we now know a guy is a prophet because he walks funny? Was he strutting like a model or doing the Russian dance of squatting and thrusting legs upwards? That's a sure way to identify a prophet by his gait. By the way, from what we have seen of Paul Atreides up to the points in the book of that quote, he is the literal opposite of poised or commanding. Paul was rather acting like a toddler, pretending to sleep all the time for no real reason, and letting whoever he met treat him as a dog. Let's have a last specific example of an outrageous thing as a closer. The planet whose existence and continuous supply of goods to export carries the weight of an entire empire. It's utterly underfunded, undeveloped. People didn't even scout the entirety of it. It was stated that they can't see what is in the southern reaches of Arrakis. Are you joking or what? Just look at the planet from the orbit. We have spacecraft, right? The constant dangling of some mystery truly gets on my nerves. Grab one savage and torture him until the bastard sinks all the information you need. Is it that hard? Fly up, then south. You know what is in there. The abundance of illogical or obviously meant to be a 50 IQ setup things in each chapter is staggering. Yeah, I wonder why we hear that south of the planet is unexplored. I wonder why we got a 10-page explanation on how to survive getting stranded in a desert. Real mystery that is, Mr. Herbert. Trash writing. I might have been poisoned by Warhammer 40k in part of the instinctual rejection of the setting, but it's simply bizarre how the Atreides, planetary governors, are treated as dogs, and the other constantly repeating illogical plot devices. I admit to not even giving the series a chance. Repulsed at the beginning and continued during inconsequential chapters and outrageous happenings, more fit for a novel centered around Tripoli or Baghdad and Bedouin tribes. I have read around 3,000 books, and that's a conservative estimate. I read fast. But to read Dune, I needed a full month, during which I read around 30 other books. It was truly like words out of Dune's pages came alive and caused psychic critical damage to my brain whenever I finished a page or even a sentence. Like Alakazam or whatever the Pokemon's name was, pushed me with a spoon straight to the dome with every read word. It truly astonished me. The absurd nonsense and way of writing Herbert presents is the worst out of all 3,000 books that I read. Worse than Bible, Quran, Makudimach. Frankly, I don't think it will ever change, even when I reach 10 or 20,000 read books at the end of my life. Herbert. A godless man high on mushrooms, appreciating things and ideas that caused untold suffering and would be beneficial for humanity to never be conceived. The caricature he painted glorifies all the wrong things and simply doesn't speak to me on the base level, as there is nothing underneath it except empty, flowery phrases and constant contradiction. Perhaps because I've read all the things he got inspiration from, and his way of paraphrasing them is jarringly inferior. Bible is only a series of stories meant as lessons to inexperienced and uneducated. Quran is only a warlord's attempt to solidify his own will over the people conquered. And Makudimach is only the observation of forever struggle, ever present in nature. Since I started my writing with a Harry Potter fanfic, I imagine people who love J.K. Rowling's books but hate fanfics, instinctual reaction to another author trying to emulate her to be similar, if not simply the same as mine here. The way he wrote doesn't support the grand idea, or maybe the fault is mine, for not suspending disbelief and buying into his world due to instinctual repulsion, basically since World 1. It truly reads as a bunch of morons doing idiotic things. Why was Emperor even on Arrakis? You rule tens of thousands of worlds, but you must supervise from the first line a barely townscape battle. Madness of 50 IQ permeates each happening and almost all sentences written on the pages of this book. First statement. Dune was harder to read than Bible and Quran. Simply, the emotion of watching nonsense happen after a page was overwhelming. Second statement. I hate that prophecy is used in so much of the most popular literature. People yearn for divine intervention and to have their lives steered in a direction. It's an antithesis on free will. Subconscious yearning to be dominated, grafted into peasants' DNA by thousands of years of oppression. Third statement. This book truly made me understand what the phrase sci-fi nerds is supposed to mean, why it's an insult. How is a simulation of the 10th century Middle East sprinkled with Ottoman harem politics even considered sci-fi?